Hi everyone, Trina Phoenix here. I'm so sorry for my absence. As you well know, things have been a little crazy in the world. So I had to get a lot of work done and do some preparation and trying to get a little balance between stay-at-home factor and working because I do think I keep things clean. So some of my people might desperately need that service. So, yeah, it's so crazy right now. Things have been a little different, but I think this is potentially one of the greatest shifts we could see humanity go into as well. So, always see the rainbow at the end because we're going to need that to see a new vision and a new beginning, because a lot of things are falling away right now, especially with the financial systems and a lot of different things. It seems like there's a falling away happening at this moment. So it's okay, and it's part of, I think, what we're supposed to be experiencing. So try not to be in resistance to all that you see. Just let it float on by and focus on what you want to see and feel within your own immediate reality, because this is the control that you have as a creator, is focusing on your universe, because your universe is connected to the other universes, which is us. So with that, we all affect each other. So the strongest thing we can do is hold the vibration of knowing that all is well in creation, and we are part of that. So have faith in that. And where we were going in the book was, we were talking about, the restoration of the sacred feminine, and how the fairy tales, those were some of our hidden connections to fairy tales, was through the sacred feminine, was through these fairy tales and these stories of kings and queens and rescuing damsels in distress, and then eventually the princess saving the kings as well. So this balance of these fairy tales, and I think these fairy tales they come forth out of our memory. So these are stories that have captured in metaphor some of our deepest truths and our deepest origins and our deepest memories from where we began as a human species. So the process of this human experience, it's a journey, and it's a beautiful journey, and it's filled with twists and turns and surprises. It's like a roller coaster ride. But think about it. Humans love entertainment. They love scary movies. They love adrenaline. We love these things because I think a part of us understands that when we get put under pressure, we manifest wonderful things out of desperation sometimes, but nonetheless, sometimes this is the key that activates the power of self. So, under pressure, it's because you're turning into a diamond. So, you can look at it as a negative, or you can see it as a potential. So we need to shift our consciousness to see the potentials. Even if they look really bad, see the potential. What could come out of this? How could this serve the higher good in the long run? Focus on these aspects. So we were getting into the 3 stages of the journey, which is ironic what this is getting ready to talk about with where we're at as a world right now. So here we go. This is page 407 for those who want to read along. And it begins by saying the 3 stages of the journey. In the hero's journey, there are 3 basic stages: the departure, the journey, and the return. The departure begins with a radical sweeping away of our old lives, and it opens the way for something new. Like Zoot Suit, this initiation often takes all that we have known in the past, our families, our homes, our jobs, and our ego identity, and it wipes it away, creating a voyage of loss and death that ushers us into a new stage of life. The second stage of the hero's journey throws us into a new world where we are pulled by the forces that we don't understand into an adventure that will fundamentally change our lives. Along the way, we might meet sages, allies, monsters, wise women, dragons, and enemies. We may feel that we have gone to heaven or hell, depending on which part of the journey you are on. The third stage is the return, the completion of the journey, where we return to the world with a new insight, wisdom, or gifts, having gained the power to illuminate and solve the problems of our age. Let's take the story of Perseus, the half-divine son of Zeus, who the tale has all the classic elements of the hero's journey. Perseus is an orphan and does not know that he is half god, half mortal. But when he is adopted, the family is drowned in a fishing accident caused by Hades, the god of the underworld. Perseus is thrown into the departure stage of his journey with events that will change his life. This is beautifully depicted in the movie The Clash of the Titans. Perseus must then face Hades, who curses the city of Argos and decrees that Princess Andromeda will be destroyed by the monstrous Kraken. Perseus must then decide whether to continue believing that he is only mortal, or rise to meet his destiny as a demigod and save the city. This decision prompts him to embark upon the quest. The second stage of the hero's journey is about discovering the various parts of himself and awakening something new within his heart. It frequently involves a descent into the realms of the shadow to face his inner demons, then finds his power and claims his true identity for himself. In Perseus's case, he must enter Hades, the underworld, and bring back Medusa's head, since this is the only way to defeat the Kraken. As he overcomes these obstacles, Perseus sheds his old identity and is transformed, realizing that he is indeed both a divine being and also a human. And the realization allows him to save the city. His task is to return to us transfigured and teach us the lesson that he has learned of life renewed. At this time, the hero will often bring back a symbol of victory, a sword, a book, a ring, or a chalice. In the language of the mysteries, these items represent the archetypal qualities that have been restored to the hero's soul. The final stage of the hero's journey is the return, the homecoming of the hero, who brings back his gifts of knowledge. Having now viewed life from a new perspective, he has been reborn. Now He has the wisdom to save a city, defeat an enemy, or renew a world. Perseus saves the city of Argo, and he saves Andromeda, and restores the world to balance. The beast releases his kingdom from the spell, reclaims himself as a prince, and wins his one true love, Psyche, and reunites with her love, Eros, and is welcomed into heaven as an immortal. Behind all of these stories is the legendary fall of humanity. We are not talking here about a fall into sin, but the descent of the soul from the celestial worlds into the realms of matter. This understanding of our true divine origin springs up from the mystery schools, whose teachers understood the nature of the multidimensional realities. We each, as the divine child of God, have forgotten who we really are. Half of our nature must be rescued by the other half in order for us to come back into wholeness. This is the divine wedding they talk about in the Bible. To redeem our ignorance of the world of shadow, we must awaken within the dream and return to our true state. American mythologist Joseph Campbell writes, "The happy ending of the fairy tale, the myth, and the divine comedy of the soul is to be read not as a contradiction, but as a transcendence of the universal tragedy of man. The objective would remain what it was, but because of a shift of emphasis within the subject, it is beheld as though transformed." Then we begin with Ishtar enters my life. When I first pulled Ishtar's name in our sacred circle, I had no idea that I would be suddenly faced with living her story. Her tale of loss and suffering for the sake of man had great resonance for me. Of the sacrifices of my mother for the sake of love, my mother had given up nearly 40 years of her life to save my father from alcoholism, hoping beyond hope that he could be rescued from the bottle. So I understood the emotional cost of being trapped in the shadows of abuse and emotional pain and not seeing a way out. I knew how the chaos of such a prison could make us lose ourselves for the sake of love. While it takes great bravery to make such a sacrifice for another, sometimes the lesson is not whether to follow that person into the underworld, but whether you should let him go. Despite my mother's incredible heart, she needed to recognize that the most important relationship we have is with ourselves and God. No matter how much we love another person, only he can face his own shadows, as we can only face ours. This is the power of free will. In the myths, the fairy tales related above, committing to the love of another is symbolic of the committing to the loving of the other half of oneself. The other aspect of the masculine or the feminine polarity, the other half can guide us towards realization, but in the end, it must truly be a self-realization. The journey must consist of all three parts. We must not get stuck in the journeying stage and forget to return to ourself. Nor should we skip the journey stage to get to the comfort and the security of the return. Within a week of pulling Ishtar's name. I had met Brian, who quickly became my own fair-headed Tammuz. He was Irish, a beautiful soul with blue eyes and blonde hair, a healer to boot. We met at a conference in New York where I was speaking, and he sang me a love song that melted my heart into a puddle. I invited him to join me for a week-long retreat on Mount Shasta in California with 12 other light workers. We were going to make contact with the spiritual masters who are rumored to live beneath the mountain. As the leader of the group, I made strict rules for everyone about maintaining celibacy for the duration of the retreat, since our energies were to be focused entirely upon the divine. We convened at a fabulous lodge on the side of the mountain, and for the next 5 days we all fell in love with one another, whether doing ceremony on the 7,000-foot mountaintop slopes that were covered with snow or exploring the secret Pluto caves. The trip catalyzed a change in all of us. As the days unfolded, Brian revealed that he was in a deeply unhappy marriage with a woman who did not share his love of God. He had only stayed in the marriage because of his 2 teenage children. As a clairvoyance, I could see what had propelled him into this marriage some 2,300 years earlier. His wife had been his mother in a village outside of Rome. As a boy, Brian had been brutally kidnapped and been forced into slavery and died of abuse. This had set in motion many lifetimes of abandonment. These 2 souls had been parted many, many times in subsequent lives as a mother and a son through outside calamity. So in this life they had come back together to heal. Now exactly 23 years into their marriage, their soul contract was complete. But since Brian's core wound was abandonment, he was afraid to be alone. Without intending to, Brian and I fell in love. We spoke about our feelings for the first time once the retreat was over. Brian desperately wanted a divorce, but was afraid to be alone. He wanted to jump straight into another relationship with me, without taking time to reflect. He wanted me to be his catcher in the rye, and I said that I would think about it. I returned home confused. The part of me that had fallen in love with Brian wanted to say yes, for he brought great joy into my heart. But the end of a marriage deserves to be honored as the big deal that it is. It is the departing or departure stage for the hero's journey, where all that we have known is swept away. It represents not only the death of the present, but the death of all the hopes and the dreams that the 2 people have dreamed together. And while it is an end of one phase, from its ashes can come a whole new world of self-transformation. But the only ethical thing to do is to allow people who are involved to complete their cycle and to take the time for self-discovery. Without the journey into the self, there can be no solid foundation to start anew. If the wounded do not take the time to gather themselves and heal, they will just project their unhealed issues into the new relationship. The journey must be undertaken to make an effective return to a new marriage. The question that I found myself asking was this: was I willing to go to hell to help save Brian? Or was this something that he needed to do on his own? This was the dilemma of Ishtar, now fully alive and present within my own life. The power to choose. When I got home, Brian called. He had gone straight home and bravely told his wife that he wanted a divorce. He had finally expressed his long-buried feelings, that living with a critical, controlling mother was not making him happy. And since they had not been intimate for years, the passion had vanished. Apparently, he had done this once before, but this time he intended to follow through. Yet, the more I listened to him go on and on about his breakup, the more clearly I saw that my beloved Tammuz was caught in his own hell. All the sweet love that we had experienced on Mount Shasta was rapidly evaporating. While it had been so easy to support, Brian, within the strong group consciousness, now I was being pulled into his negative whirlpool, witnessing all his years of unexpressed rage and hurt in his unhealed marriage. This was not a good beginning for a new relationship, or a good departure from an old one. I realized then that I could follow my prince into Hades, or I could step back and let him find his own answers. Even with all the love I felt for him, Brian had to love himself enough to complete the cycle of his unhappy marriage without using another person to do it for him. In awakening the heroes within, Carol Pearson writes, "The heroic quest is about saying yes to yourself, and in so doing, becoming more fully alive and effective in the world. For the hero's journey is first about taking a journey to find the treasure of your true self, and then about returning home to give your gift to help transform the kingdom. And in the process, your own life. Knowing that my own mother had gone into the depths of hell for the sake of love and remained there for 40 years with a man who either could not nor or would not extract himself, I realized that I did not have to be Ishtar. I could make my own choices and not be bound by hers. Whereas Ishtar had been mutually committed in a partnership of love before her descent, I was not. I had only just entered the scene, spending months in the angry muck of Brian's dissolution of his marriage would not make either of us happy. He had to find the path himself, and then anything was possible. I told Brian that he needed to work on himself first, and I withdrew, asking him to call me when he got things figured out. But he never did. He left his marriage a year and a half later, running off with another woman who was willing to descend into hell with him. But their marriage lasted only 2 short years. Since then, Brian has been married 2 more times. Unhealed wounds. You gotta heal them. I went through that. I went through the whole 18 years of marriage, divorce, and then I waited a while before I entertained any kind of a relationship, and then I entertained a relationship a year after that, and I brought back into my relationship something new, but something also very similar to the old patterns that I was bringing into my life. So I had to step back and look at that. And since that point in time, I've been in a place of stillness, self-reflection. I've been working on a relationship with myself and working on a relationship with my children and my family and trying to hold just life and structure because, bankruptcy, divorce, starting completely over, losing everything that you worked, 20 years to obtain, all of it went away. So I had to go through rebuild mode. And through that process, it was tough. The dark night of the soul, 40 days in the desert. Oh yeah, I went through all of it. And it was rough. It was a tough process. But through that process is how I got back into the truth of who I am. And that's why you guys see me here today, because instead of trying to deny my purpose and deny who I really am, I decided to start to be true to really what I love and who I am. And that was spirituality, that was healing, that was energy work, that was always my love. So now I'm, stepping into that more and embracing it more. And I found all of you through that, which has been the greatest gift of my life, because confirmation is so beautiful for me, because I've been walking, between the two worlds since I was very young. So it's so wonderful to see so many others who are connecting to similar abilities and all of these things, and being able to see and being able to travel with your mind and being able to affect people with your healing frequencies. All of these things are beautiful, beautiful confirmation for me as a being. So thank you so much for that, because it really made a huge difference in my life. To find similar beings on this planet, to me, was a godsend. So thank you for that. So through this process, it's like I went through that whole, my reality crumbled. I had to start over, rebuild everything, start anew. And then, there's the whole pull of, all these other people will try to come into your life and replace that, what you have just let go of. Because these are patterns, and they try to reestablish themselves within your matrix, within your creation, within your life. Because these are your patterns. These are the things that you've actually created as a being. So the unprogramming and the reconstructing of new holographic templates is where I kind of went. And this was, my goal was to create a new reality without bringing my old patterns and old programs into my new creation point. So I've been working on that for a while, and it's manifesting. So the world is really changing powerfully fast, and so many people are in fear over this, when I think that this is going to be a gift, because people wake up through extreme shakeup, transition. So I really think this is part of waking up the ones who have a chance to wake. So right now, things are going to get a little bit bumpy, so we can save as many as possible. So with that, no, everything's going to be okay. And I really do think that, guys, I think we've already jumped into the timeline that we wish to sit in. So have faith in that, and know that, before a new reality can express itself, the old reality has to get cleared away. It's just like a divorce. It's the same thing. You have to have a time to let everything go, and then you got to process it through self and say, okay, get balanced, get focused, and how do I want to see my life moving forward now? How do I want to see the world expressing around me? And focus on your dream, because your dream is unlike anybody else's, and my dream is unlike anybody else's. So all of us dreaming a dream into positive timelines will get us there. It's the way it works. So keep dreaming your dream. Remember, we are the dreamers. We are the dream weavers. We weave the matrix. So we are the dream weavers. So weave away, and weave us a world that is the best thing you could ever imagine possible. See heaven on earth, whatever that means to you. See that. See it manifesting and see it happening as easy and as peacefully as possible. But like I said, I've always known since I was younger, it's like we'd have to be the calm in the storm. That we would have to be the eye that sits in the center, fully awake and open, and just knows all the energies are going where they need to go. And we're kind of directing that by holding what's shown to me as like a 0-point window. We're like the magnetic force that can bring in different energy systems through the transmutation of being balanced. So right now, really just do what you can to stay balanced. Try to stay out of all the stuff that's going on and get into the world of imagination. That's your true superpower. It's the greatest one you have is the imagination. So start to imagine all the wonderful things you would like to see in this world, because right now we're in this window of creation. So it's time to really start working on that as much as you can. Take time just to imagine a wonderful heaven on earth. See the greatest dream that you could dream becoming a reality, and feel it like you already have it. Because the feeling is the prayer. It's not the thought as much as it is the feeling. Because here we're manifesting through heart. The heart is the true manifestation principle through the material world. The material world is working through mother, and mother is the heart-based magnetic principles. Father to me is more electric. They're just different properties of creation. So through the heart is how the physical matter gets expressed. So that's what I mean, the feeling is the prayer. So you got to make sure you're feeling right, because that's truly we're creating the matrix through our feeling centers. So this is why they want everybody freaked out, fighting and in fear. So be the opposite. Yeah, be the opposite, and it cancels the charge. So that's what we're here to do, is transmutate energies that need to be transmuted. And that's how we do that. We do that by holding our focus and our balance and our positive thought and feeling it as if it's already here. Because if you close your eyes and you imagine that you're on a beach and the sun is shining and you can feel the sand on your toes, you can be there now. So, no, everything is a product of what we see. So close your eyes, take a vacation, travel the world, imagine, see things you've never seen before, see things that we would love to see as humanity, see things like find new caves, find treasures, go into the oceans, see what's on the ocean floor, use your mind, travel. It's all done through your imagination. And don't discount what you see. Trust it and go with it. And allow your imagination to guide you for a little while. Because this is the inner wisdom of the inner child. And it is your strongest connection to your original source. So, do your work. Imagine and imagine well. And this is going to be how we come out the other end, saying we did it and we won. So this is how it's going to be done, guys. It's literally going to be that simple. So they always said keep it simple, and this is why, because our keys to manifesting the world that we want will come through this aspect. It is literally that simple. Be balanced, be focused, use your imagination, and create a new vision. Do not watch the television. Don't let them tell you your vision. You create a new vision through the imagination. The Magi nation. We are the I am magical properties of this matrix. So we are Magi nation. So tap into your superpowers. And I love you for it, and thank you. All of those of you working on the same potentials, possibilities, and really doing the work, getting focused and sending out that positive vibration to the world. Oh, thank you. I work with you and I hold your hands in the process. And know, when we go into the matrix, which I see as the true matrix, the crystalline grid, see us all connecting together as one heart, one mind, and one positive vibration anchoring into the third dimension from the fifth. So, time to bring heaven to earth. So just see the light from our higher aspects of ourselves, focusing them down onto this planet. So we need to become the satellites. So be the satellite and shine bright and shine your light down from above into this plane from your own I am source, the power that is the higher you. That's above you, but that is projecting you here. It's time to anchor that energy and anchor that light and bring forth the power of the imagination. So I love you guys. I'll see you on the next one. I hope you're having a wonderful day. And if not, fake it till you make it. Turn on some music, start to dance, clear your head, and get into a vibration that makes you feel better, whatever that is for you. So my wish for you all is to feel the best vibration you can feel and ride that wave. And let's all learn how to make some magic here, because it's our time. So I love you, my imagination. And we'll see you all soon. Bye.